Welcome to Plant-Based DFW with Dr. Riz and Maya. Clyde and Kay Miller have been retired for 1.5 years, living a plant-based lifestyle since September 1, 2017, almost a year. They are full-time RV'ers living in a 40-foot motorhome named Aruba. Today, we will hear from Clyde and Kay about their volunteer work for nonprofit organizations. We will also talk about living a plant-based lifestyle while on the road. Welcome, Clay and Kay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I said Clay. Welcome, Clyde and Kay, also known as Trekking with Clay.
Yes. We were really excited to know about you guys because we follow each other on Instagram. And so we being sailors and sort of traveling often, we were really excited to know that you guys are also plant-based. So if you can tell us a little bit more about yourselves and how this retirement came about, how you decided on an RV.
Clyde and I actually met online.
Oh.
And one of the first, you didn't know that. One of the first conversations we had, I grew up camping, and I just made a comment about, have you ever considered living in an RV when you retire? And he began to tell me a story about an aunt and uncle who had lived in an RV for 20 plus years and served at different camps across the U.S. And so it was just one more feather in his cap as we, were beginning to talk, as we were getting to know each other.
Mm.
Yeah, that's interesting. Similarly for us, our common thing about meeting was sailing. And so we knew right away that we both had a good love for that.
Exactly. Yeah. And now, so you've been on the RV for about 1.5 years. And did you wait for a certain time to go ahead and make this move?
Really, what we did is we purchased the RV a couple of years ago before, because we really wanted to try to get an experience with it. When we did, go full timing, we wanted to make sure it was in something that we wanted to be full time in. Mm-hmm. And with that, we started doing research. In fact, Kay went and did a class, and we did a bunch of different things. As kind of getting ready for what we eventually wanted to do. But we ended up, seeing that we were storing it here and storing it there, not using it like we like to. But
right, and we just sort of decided one day, we're not getting any younger. We're still healthy, and we can hike, and we can go and do things, and we're active, and we decided it's time.
So you had it for a couple of years before you actually started using it full time then?
Right. We bought it 3 years ago
in
Waco, Texas. I guess 3 years ago, July. So we've had it a little over 3 years.
Yeah, I've seen all the RV shops on the road between Dallas and Waco. There's a million of them.
We actually bought it from an individual.
Oh, okay.
It had been garage kept, in this huge garage.
Beautiful garage.
And so it had been garage kept for the last 5 years. It only had like 22,000 miles on it when we bought it.
Wow.
So it was in really, really good shape. Not to say that we haven't, added things to that and made it better, but.
Yeah. How did you guys customize it? What did you do?
Well, there's things we're working on. We continually customize.
Yeah. It is a process, isn't it?
It's like a house.
It's like buying a used home,
But we did some things. We did some things to make the driving smoother. I don't remember what they're called, stabilizers or.
Yeah, stabilizer for the front end. It's basically a big bus. It's 40 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
Diesel pusher, so it's basically a big bus. So. We did shocks. We did some new shocks. We did stabilizers.
Did new tires.
New tires.
Yeah. We came across a pass going into Southern California that scared the bejeebies out of both of us because we came through a pass and the wind caught us. And if I'd have been at the helm, it would not have been a good situation because it blew us on the road. And at that point in time, we decided we needed stabilizers because it scared both of us.
Yeah, that's a big vehicle. It can really catch the wind, can't it?
Yeah.
Even though you have all the wind warnings on the road and all that, and you're prepared for it, it pushed us about 4 feet sideways.
Oh, my.
That's nothing in a sailboat.
That's like a sailboat.
But when that happens in a sailboat, we feel it too.
Yeah, exactly. So now you start RVing and you find yourself, working and volunteering in nonprofit organizations. Were you already volunteering prior to your RV life?
We had served with a group called 8 Days of Hope a couple of times before, once down in Alabama, once in South Carolina. And Houston is my hometown. And so since they were going to be in Houston for 3 weeks, we opted to serve with them the whole time. We actually went ahead of time and helped. We went in and actually did assessing ahead of time. And then after that we were there for 3 weeks. It was 3 long, hard, good weeks.
And was this after Irma?
After Harvey.
After Harvey. I'm sorry. I said Irma. Yeah, Harvey. Sorry. I'm getting my hurricanes mixed up.
Irma was the last one they had quite a few years ago in Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So there you are volunteering in Houston. And were you in your RV at the time as well?
Yes. We parked it not far, probably 1.5 miles from the church.
Okay. Very nice.
That was our home base.
What is it that happened in September that got you guys on the track of being plant-based? How did that come about?
That's an interesting story.
We had just gotten back. We spent last summer in Europe renting motorhomes, and we were there for 4 months. And we had just gotten back and we're just getting into our motorhome. And a couple of things happened. When we got back, our refrigerator had gone out. So we had 0 refrigerator. We were living out of a cooler. And then I have a history of having 2 stage 4 melanomas removed. And it was the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And I was standing outside watching him do something. And I put my hands on my hips I don't know what I was doing, but I felt another one. And it really kind of upset me. And so it just hit me really hard. And about the same time, I don't know if it was a day before or maybe the day after, I had received a Facebook message from a friend of mine in Memphis, which is where we had lived, and I had been for 20 years. And it was a link to a gentleman's website called Chris Wark with Chris Beat Cancer. Mm-hmm. And I went and watched his film. And what really struck me is he was from Memphis. He was diagnosed in 2004 with stage 4 colon cancer. Mm-hmm. And when that happened with him, he did the surgery, but he then proceeded to basically cure himself with nutrition. Mm-hmm. And after I watched the first one, I told Clyde, I said, if this is a melanoma, I said, we are doing something major, drastic. Mm. And he watched the film with me, and we watched an interview with Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. And because Clyde has some heart disease and diabetes in his family, which we know is not necessarily the issue any longer, he was very interested in going plant-based. And so our refrigerator was empty and we had a cooler and we began. And here we are almost a year later. It's been wonderful.
That is amazing. Yes, Clyde?
Well, I was going to say, I think I would just add the fact that, we were very interested in nutrition. We had gone, doing a lot of things. We'd gone to kale smoothies in the morning and, doing a lot of things that were really helped our health and that type of thing. And after we retired and before we went to Europe, we spent a week with my son and daughter-in-law, and they had gone plant-based about 6 months before that. Wow. Mm-hmm. And so we spent that whole week, supporting and Kay was learning new recipes and cooking and enjoying time with our son who was doing a lot of cooking. And we felt so good after that week and before we went on a ship to go to Europe we go, man, we could do this. But we spent a lot of time over there, not obviously not plant-based. But when we got back, as Kay was saying, is that. And just a little bit about my background is for 30 years, I was a trial lawyer in Minnesota. So I looked at all the facts, evidence, and part of my background was, seeing both sides of the argument, looking at both sides of the argument, always in preparation for one way or another. But when Caldwell Esselstyn, when he did the interview, it was fairly short, but very pointed and just, pointed to some very strong evidence that I really never had heard or considered before. And as Kay said, I have, siblings with high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and all of that, and heart. My youngest brother's had a heart attack already and a stent put in. And, my dad died before the age I am. And 5 brothers, had all, passed away very early. So all from heart attacks. So we knew that there was something there, but, Dr. Esselstyn really got my attention. And then at that time I told Kay, let's look into this.
Well, and I thought, this will last about 2 weeks. And here we are.
It's very interesting because I'm a very evidence-based person myself. And when we tell our story, Maya will tell people that it was, I don't just jump on anything and she'll tell people it's the evidence that convinced me. And it's surprising to me that there is so much data out there to support this lifestyle. So I'm hoping that that's what, as we spread the message, people will look at the evidence. It's not just, someone talking about a diet and saying a few things, but there's studies to back it up, lots of evidence-based medicine behind it as well. Yeah. So I had a question when you talked about for the 1 week you spent with your son. And Clyde, you mentioned you guys felt so much better. Tell me what you mean by that. Just in that 1 week.
Yeah, and just in that 1 week, we felt a lot more energy.
We said we felt lighter. I said, I feel so light.
Yeah.
I just felt light. I didn't feel encumbered.
It wasn't all that fiber, was it?
One of the things is, because we had felt, before, we kind of moved away from gluten because we thought gluten was a problem. And so we were kind of, indigestion and things like that related to that. But when we went to the plant-based, we
realized it was the dairy.
No.
Okay.
Really the dairy or the dairy mix, the animal proteins, that type of thing. And, we really, all of a sudden, that was pretty good. And,
what's been interesting is we've really not veered from it much at all. But when we were pulling into Minnesota a few months ago, we drove by a Culver's. And I don't know if you have Culver's there in the Dallas area, but it's a fast food place, but they have custard, and it is some of the best custard you will ever taste. And so we were kind of lollygagging along, and I said, let's just stop and split one. Just have one scoop and split one. So we did, and I woke up in the middle of the night with the worst heartburn I think I've ever had. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I'd forgotten about the custard. And the next morning I woke up and I said, I know what it was.
Yeah,
so, I won't be doing that again.
Yeah, I've heard similar stories from people talking about they ate, say, some meat, which was greasy, and their body had adjusted to a better diet, and then they paid the price for it, stuff like that.
Yes.
It happens all the time.
Once we both stopped using dairy in our coffee, everything changed. I mean, it was significant, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and for years, literally since my girls were little, and they're 25 and 27 now, I haven't drank milk in that long, just because I saw what it did for them. They've been on either soy or almond milk or whatever I could get my hands on, just because I had read and I had learned. Now that didn't stop me from eating cheese, but we did not. I haven't drank milk in forever.
Wonderful, and I like that. It was just that documentary or the story of Chris Beats Cancer that really did it for you guys, followed by the research, because these kind of films and documentaries really do impact people.
Yeah.
Like that.
As I've studied, I read some stuff by Dr. Michael Greger, and I'll tell you, as a physician, you would think I know this stuff, but they don't teach us these things.
They don't.
And I began to realize all of the cancer fighting things that are in food, and some stuff is promoting disease, and some stuff is fighting disease. And the plant-based diet is ripe full of antioxidants and phytonutrients and agents that fight cancer. And a meat-based diet is actually promoting cancer. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting when you give up meat, you're giving up meat, which is causing cancer, and then you're starting to eat plants, which cure cancer. And right. So you're getting a double benefit by going the lifestyle. And I'll tell you, it's just shocking to me that this stuff is not taught to us. It's just crazy.
Well, but you understand why that is, that our country is built on...
Yes.
We won't go there, but...
don't get me started on corporations and money, and because I know what drives the development of pharmaceuticals. And we were just talking about turmeric and how good it is for you. Just a quarter teaspoon a day. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to get that much turmeric and mix it in a smoothie or in your foods and different things. And it's one of the most powerful spice agents that you can use for your health. But there's not, no one's out there. No billion-dollar companies are trying to sell you turmeric because they won't make any money off of it. So it's, but don't get me going with all that.
So it sounds like you did sort of an overnight, you made a decision overnight and just started applying this plant-based nutrition. Is that what happened?
Well, I don't think it was not necessarily overnight. I mean, it was, but we were traveling, so we were doing some stuff. And I don't know, Kay kind of alluded to it before. When we got back from Europe, unfortunately, our motorhome, the refrigerator, the gas refrigerator,
right.
Gas electric refrigerator had gone out, and basically turned everything left inside of it to black.
Oh, bad.
So it's kind of a sign that you were supposed to start over.
Right. Yeah, well, we've seen, so after this, we've seen some of the things where, Dr. Esselstein's son goes in and cleans out refrigerators and stuff like that. People, that's kind of what happened with us. It just happened. Everything was gone.
And, would you call it divine intervention?
Yeah, right. That's right.
I never thought about it that way, but that's probably very true.
Probably very true.
It's a very subtle way. Just strike your refrigerator out and make you start over.
Well, the beauty of it was I didn't come home to a mess. I had a friend of mine who was watching the motorhome periodically, and God bless her soul, she cleaned it out for me before I got home.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I said, did you take pictures? And she goes, oh, no, I didn't want to remember it, and I didn't want you to remember it.
Oh. What were the first foods that you began to eat?
Well, because we've been living out of a cooler, we always had vegetables. I always had almond milk in it. I always had salad. We were eating, because we had been in Europe for 4.5, 5 months. We had eaten a little bit of everything, and we needed to shed a few pounds that we had picked up over there. I mean, French croissants are pretty yummy. And so we had kind of decided we were going to do smoothies and salads for a while. So that's kind of what got us started. And then after that, just with my research and, as I mentioned, I've researched health and good foods for years. I just really never had a partner that was all in with me. Mm-hmm. And Clyde has been all in from day one. And I think that's really important. It's a very difficult thing to do without both of you being all in.
It is wonderful to have a supportive partner, isn't it?
It really is. And, I've talked to some people and I've said, even if you don't think you're all in, just try it for 30 days. Just give it a shot for 30 days. Don't try to, eat down your refrigerator. For me, I feel like it was easier to go cold turkey because there's no, because then you can really see the difference.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say it takes a long time to get accustomed to the beans, to get accustomed to the whole grains. But I'm not so sure it does if you're not mixing it with the dairy and you're not mixing it with a little meat here and there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know for us, it was, the hardest thing was going out to eat and learning what we could eat when we were out to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking one of the advantages we might have had is that we started in the fall. So it was kind of in the soup season and then through the winter. That was pretty easy because there's easier recipes and that type of thing. And so, but yeah.
That's a good point right there. I mean, we enjoy comfort foods as well. And probably the first thing that I veganized for him was one of his favorite soups from Olive Garden, the pasta fagioli. And so which is really I don't know how you pronounce it, gelatini. Oh, it's a small pasta, the little small pasta you put in there with a variety of beans. And then, of course, other spices and onion and garlic. But I included at the time sort of a vegan ground beef, kind of the vegan version of it. And we still enjoyed it.
Yeah. And in fact, I told her she included the vegan ground beef just to make it look like and consistency of the previous one that I ate. But I would do it even without the vegan ground beef,
Right.
It's probably some form of tofu or something like that.
And like the sopa toscana, that one too.
The soy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we stopped using, we don't use as many of those products anymore. So, But in terms of transitioning, it works to have something to kind of transition. And then for us, it's been better eating cleaner, less processed foods. The more we're in it, the easier it becomes.
Yeah, you might say that when we started, it was just doing whatever we could to not eat meat and dairy and cheese. And then over time, we transitioned to where we were making even healthier choices with what we were doing. Because a vegan or even a plant-based diet can have processed foods and different things like that aren't even necessarily healthy for you.
I saw a website the other day, or it might have been an Instagram account, and it's the one ingredient vegan or one ingredient recipe. And when I looked at it, I thought, well, how can you have one ingredient? And what he means is if there's more than one ingredient in it, you don't need to be eating it. And I went, oh, that's a good point. We don't do the vegan butter and that kind of stuff. It's just too many oils and so.
Right.
Yeah, that's that's very very basic, I guess. Like Esselstyn teaches, don't add salt, don't add oil, things like don't add refined stuff. It's hard to do.
It really is. So during your plant-based journey, have you been mobile? Have you been on the RV moving around the country? And
it is our only home.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yes. What's it like every time you sort of have to replenish your foods, and you have any problem when you're traveling finding the right foods?
You pray for a Sprouts.
Mm-hmm. We were there last night.
Sprouts grocery stores.
And all these are pretty good too.
And all these are pretty good too.
But we really look is for the farmer markets.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh.
And we came across a really nice one in North Carolina.
Yes.
In Charlotte. That was really good.
Yeah, I could have stayed there a couple of months just to enjoy the farmers market.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
We do the same thing when we're sailing up and down the Florida coast. One of the first things we do is look for the farmers markets in the cities. Yeah.
Right.
And I think we've hit a farmers market in 4 or 5 different cities, whenever we travel.
And the other thing that we do is when we do stop by a venue and they give us a nice vegan option or they veganize something, I let them know that I'll give them a nice review on Happy Cow, the app Happy Cow, so that I can encourage them to continue to make, provide vegan options.
Oh, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about doing something like that. That's a great idea.
It's the one app we rely on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When we're traveling, we're always looking to see where are the nearest vegan places or the restaurants that offer vegan options, because those will also be in the app.
Well, I have not found that yet, but I will download it later.
Oh, yeah. Definitely give it a shot.
Yeah.
So now what is it like I'm assuming that you're part of a larger community of RV'ers, and what is it like when you're mingling with other people in terms of what you eat? Any problems?
That's a little more of a challenge. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you do rallies, as we did one for, we own an Alpha motorhome. So we were at a rally in Southern California this last spring with the Alpha owners. So even though there's several people there that are, plant-based, they usually stay in their motorhome to fix their meals rather than go to the, to the group or that type of thing. So it's still fairly difficult, but I think, there's becoming more and more awareness. So that's nice.
Well, when we were at the rally, they had asked us if there was any specialized foods. And so I put on there that we were vegan, plant-based, and so they did have a couple of times they had some vegetarian selections, but that can still be very different.
Yeah.
Because typically that involves eggs or it involves cheese. And so that was, I'll have to be a little more specific next time.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, we you learn as you go. That's
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
We congratulate you for embracing this lifestyle, because it really is, it's good for your health, and like you say, you're feeling much better. Any chance you might have done any blood work before starting?
I probably had my annual, cholesterol.
Have you seen any differences in your blood work, especially cholesterol and fats and things like that?
Significant reduction in the cholesterol as well as the blood pressure.
Awesome. That's great. I'm curious to know what your doctor has to say about that.
Oh,
he was very encouraging. Doctors back in Memphis, now that we've gone, I haven't been back to see Dr. Stamps since, but he saw me, just a few months in, and was very encouraged over the progress that I made. And within 3 months, I lost almost 20 pounds.
No, you lost almost 30 pounds.
Well, totally.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I lost 30 pounds totally, but with just those 2 months, those first 2 months, when I saw it last, I had lost 20 pounds. So
that was a surprise for both of us, because we were doing it for our health. We were not doing it for weight loss, but we certainly enjoyed having to buy the new pants.
Not a bad excuse. Yeah, I was curious about the physician, because some physicians, just like many people in the population, will reject the idea and come up with excuses to tell you what you're doing is wrong or bad. And others, it opens their eyes and sometimes gets them to then look at this in a new light and maybe even embrace this approach to nutrition. And so I was curious to know if your physician, if it made any changes in his attitude.
I really didn't get a chance to discuss a lot with them, because they book everybody pretty tight. But, one of the things that we had done as we were traveling, we listened to Dr. Furman's book as well. And so the nutrition and the diabetes and that type of thing. And I know that my doctor sees a lot of patients with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So.
We did have an encouraging experience that wasn't ours, but his brother recently had some blood work done and had some issues with some different things. And when his blood work came back, his doctor told him, well, you can do one of two things. You can take more of this medicine, or you can go on a plant-based diet.
Wow.
And I was shocked, but I was excited.
Yeah.
And he said that to you, and he's a young doctor. He's in his 30s.
Wow.
And they are plant-based. So it was encouraging to see that it's infiltrating.
Yes. That's a good way to put it.
At the best level.
Yeah. There's, I think you'll see physicians my age, kind of a generation into medicine. We were taught one thing, and that's, kind of stuck. But a lot of the younger physicians and medical students now are plant-based and understand the power of our diet. And I think we're going to see that it's going to grow from the younger crowd.
So, Kay, what is one of your favorite dishes? Something that you like preparing that's plant-based, of course.
Oh, I'm the guilty one of always making something new.
Okay.
But anything with sweet potatoes and black beans and one of the things that we do that we've really found incredibly helpful is regardless of what I cook, especially in the fall if I'm making soups, the bottom of the bowl always has greens in it. And you can put any soup on top of lettuce. And it is so yummy, just so incredibly yummy. And then a lot of times if I've made a soup and there's extra soup left over, there's not much, I just blend it up and put it in a dressing bottle. And that's the dressing for our salads the next week. And that has, I think what has surprised me most about cooking this way is that when you have little bits and pieces of different things left over, they all go together.
Yes.
They all can just kind of be mixed together in a salad, and it's amazing how it tastes.
Right. It reminds me, what you're describing reminds me of this experience we had in Maui where we went to a all-vegan restaurant, but it was mainly plant-based, and they served these Buddha bowls, right? Huge, and they're in clear, like glass bowls, which makes it even more entertaining. And it's like what you described. I think I'm still trying to replicate the flavors because they were so delicious. But the bowls had a mixture of lentil, quinoa, greens, topped with everything from radish to red onion and nutritional yeast and broccoli. Can you think of other ingredients? I mean, they just had ingredient after ingredient. So when you're at the top, you have the fresh ingredients and you can use a spoon if you like, because when you go and scoop from beneath, you have the warm quinoa and lentil combination. It was absolutely delicious. It's one of the, and I keep saying Buddha bowls are the answer because it's just like what you're saying. You're combining various ingredients and they all taste delicious together.
Yeah, I like what you said. It's there's like you can make it leftover Sundays or whatever because you made some stuff all week and you got a little bit of this and a little bit of that and you bring it all out and you can make a meal out of those things.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the things that I probably do every week is I roast red and yellow and orange peppers and, blacken them, take the skins off, put them in a container, put them in the fridge because they go on everything. They go on a sandwich, they go on a wrap, they go on top of, sweet potatoes and beans. And so that is something that I do almost every week. And then they're prepared. They're ready to go when you want them.
Exactly. Well, when we finally meet in person, we're going to have a lot of fun in the kitchen or in the galley, in the RV, whatever it may be.
What other stuff do you like to prepare ahead of time for the week?
I have a recipe for feta that is made with tofu that you press, and it's got apple cider vinegar in it, and it's got nutritional yeast in it and oregano and I don't remember what all else, but I make that almost weekly because the same thing, it can go on top or in between or in a wrap. And because when we're traveling, if we want to stop and go hike somewhere yet we're hungry, I'll make a wrap and we take it and throw it in our pack and off we go. And so that's something that we do a lot of. But I do try, especially when we're traveling, I try to prep things so that it's easy to pull things out and I'm not cutting and chopping, consistently. Or if I'm going to if the first thing I'm making that week is, to saute some onions, then I do 5 or 6. And then it all goes in the refrigerator. So I have my onions already done when I'm ready to create something.
That sounds great. It sounds a lot like what Riz tends to do. And he does 2 different things. He preps all the ingredients for a nice large salad, green salad. And then also he preps all the fruit for his fruit salad that he makes. And it's a wonderful combination of berries in the fruit salad. Berries, pomegranate seeds, mango, what else do you?
Apple, blueberries.
Blueberry, yeah.
Red onions.
And then you'll have that as a snack.
Do you find that when you prepare the apples, do they not get brown, or do you put oranges in them to keep them from?
So I seal, she's got these wonderful containers that snap down on all four sides and are sealed airtight. So I'll cut apples and put them in there, and they'll last 2 or 3 days before they go brown. So hopefully I won't cut further ahead than that.
Right. We pretty much go through apples fast. Those are, if anything's going to go first, it'll be the apples because we enjoy those. But,
that's my late night snack,
Right. But there's something about just prepping that I think he finds soothing because he really takes his time. It's like the physician at work.
I'm doing my surgery. I'm doing my surgery on the plants.
Right. I bet they're pretty apples.
It's been a lot of fun. When I first met Riz, I knew he knew how to cook, but I sort of took over the kitchen. I just naturally did. It's what I enjoy doing. And now that we're plant-based, I see him take a lot more initiative. Usually I'm the one that wants to have everything ready because his schedule is pretty tight.
Yeah.
But reading about the benefits of plant-based nutrition has really gotten him involved with food a lot more. He's just very interested. We're making hibiscus tea now. We're about to start roasting beets, something we've never done before.
They're so good. But so are the beet greens.
Yeah, and the beet greens too. How do you prepare? What do you spice your beets with?
I just a little balsamic vinegar.
Okay.
That's it. I don't feel like they need anything more. And I try to buy beets with the greens on them because I'll, immediately cut them apart and rinse the greens. And I actually roll them in like a Norwex cloth and then put them in a bag.
Yes.
And those are wonderful in a salad. But the other thing beet greens are fabulous for is for a smoothie. Sometimes greens will make a smoothie thick. I don't know what it is about beet greens. Beet greens thins a smoothie. And it is the best green to put in a smoothie.
So that's two things. Number one is that I think the green leafy vegetables are great for your cardiovascular health, which is what I push. And so it's good. But we've never tried beet greens just because it's a little foreign to us. But I think we're going to now.
Well, it's something that we're both about to start trying to incorporate more. Like the collard greens, we really don't eat those as well. But we're about to start incorporating a variety of greens. So what you're saying is exciting to us.
And so what I was going to ask is...
I want to try the sushi made with collard greens.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. But that's one of the things I want to try.
So the next question is about, you mentioned the smoothie. Now, do you guys have one go-to smoothie or do you have a variety of things? Or is it just throw whatever you want in there?
Whatever was on sale at the store the last time we were there.
Okay.
Usually throw in some blueberries. We go through a lot of blueberries.
Yeah, we keep
frozen
we keep frozen blueberries, and I keep mangoes, and I really like mangoes. I really like blueberries. And, if any fruit that, gets a little bit ripe, then I will go ahead and just freeze it.
And we put almond butter in our smoothies.
Okay.
Oh, yes, that's true. You can do that.
Yeah.
We need to write. Yeah. We're going to start making a list here. That's great. That's awesome. What about sprouts? Have you started sprouting? Do you sprout at all?
I sprouted years ago when I made homemade bread because I had a sprouted wheatberry bread that was fabulous. Mm-hmm. But I haven't sprouted since then. But when we were in South Carolina,
North Carolina
in Charlotte, we were at the farmer's market, and there was a gentleman that had a booth. And he didn't call them sprouts. He called them microgreens.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason he started doing these was his wife had lupus or something. And he was trying to get as many nutrients into her system as possible. And so we bought 4 of his little bags, and we were like, okay, we need to start doing this. So I've not started yet, but that's on my list too.
They were exceptional.
They were exceptional good.
Yeah.
Oh, they were wonderful.
They interest me because I think you can grow them in a small space, like on a boat,
Yes. Well, in a mason jar, all you have to do is take your center of the mason jar lid out and cut a little piece of screen to go in there. And you're done.
There's something about this community of travelers and sailors that just is so appealing to us. This summer, we sailed along the coast of Florida. It's amazing how friendly the community can be. I really appreciate that a lot.
Well, I really appreciate you guys. I mean, it really, as I said, it was when I heard the evidence and I looked at it and I go, man, why haven't we been doing this before? In essence, kind of saying, a little bit ashamed of myself, but because I grew up, and trying to do good health and that type of thing, from the 80s on, and I was involved in, a lot of different things. And then to look back and hear most of this stuff that I'm hearing now was released in the 80s. And I go, wow, I've been involved in politics and things like that in the past, so I know how things work, but still very disappointed that it's not right now. It should be very much mainstream.
Yeah.
But
so we appreciate what you guys are doing very much.
Very much. So.
Well, thank you. It's interesting because we are a lot more mobile. We can actually reach out to more people during our travels. Huge growth of plant-based restaurants, and of course, they have the vegan market or plant-based market in Miami, in the Coconut Grove area. So it's just...
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. The entire market, every Saturday from 10 to 5 it's a vegan market. It's fascinating.
Wow.
And they just opened up a food court that is all vegan.
So I think it's like you said, the awareness is growing and it's early, but I think it's going to continue to grow and spread.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I told Clyde, if we were in our 40s and not in our 60s, I would consider opening a restaurant and franchising it. But I'm past that. I want to enjoy.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's too much work.
Well, the other thing is that is true, but maybe through social media, you can share some of your recipes as well.
You've encouraged me.
Would you like to tell us how Trekking with Clay came about?
Well, the clay came about when we got married.
Sort of like Riz's introduction.
Yes. So it basically, Clyde and Kay was our oldest son, Evan, toasted to us at our wedding, and it came out instead of Clyde and Kay, it came out as Clay. And
just like I just did, right?
Yes, exactly. So when we were getting ready to leave for Europe, I used to run the website for my church. And so, and in my background is a ton of computer background. And so I wanted to start a website. And so I did, and we deliberated for a long time about what the word trek means and just the different words, wandering and all kinds of words. And that was where we netted out. Now, I haven't done as much with it as I'd like to, but you've encouraged me. So I may yet get there.
Well, thank you, because I actually look forward to anything that you're doing on your RV. We enjoy seeing how other people live.
You would be surprised. There are many young families that are raising their families, homeschooling them.
Really?
On the road. It's amazing the people we meet.
See, so now we have to know the RV community as well.
Yeah. There's a young couple that we follow that we actually got to meet when we were in Utah called RV Wanderlust. And they're a sweet, sweet couple. You've probably seen them.
I've heard their name.
But yeah, they've actually just decided to go overlanding starting in June.
Yeah. So that's a whole new project then for them.
Yes. And they're her mom and dad are out of Corpus. So they'll be leaving out of Corpus. They're headed down to Mexico for 3 months.
Oh, that's fascinating. So it's interesting because you mentioned growing up, camping and things like that, being introduced. And my dad kind of introduced us. We're 4 daughters. And he had us at a very young age camping. We had a motorboat, so we would water ski and be out in this is Arizona, out in the cold freaking creek waters, just enjoying. But I've always enjoyed being connected to nature. And now my father is taking a different, not different than what he's done in terms of his interest, but now he's doing the overland lifestyle as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I just learned of it. So
yeah, well, we learned of it through him because we made a visit to Arizona and he was so proud. He was so eager to show us. He built his own Jeep to fit it just like an overland vehicle that's already fully loaded. I don't know how you say it, but he installed solar. He more than this because you want to tell him?
Yeah, he did. He made it a camper. An RV. He put everything in it. So a shower, portable toilet, a shower, solar. He's pretty much outfitted it all. And
apparently in Arizona, up north in Flagstaff, is where they had their annual overland conference get together, and they just attended that this year. And his next move is going to be to go to Baja California and just hang out there in the overland vehicle. So I think I understand where I get my love for all of this.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. So if other people would like to follow you on social media or ask you any questions, how can they reach you?
Trekking with Clay.
Trekking with Clay on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
That's probably the best place right now. And maybe I'll get the website moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
There'll be a big gap.
Well, and especially because you'll be attending an event in April of next year, right?
Yes.
And that is it another
rally? Is it a rally?
It is a rally, and this one's going to be held in Fredericksburg, Texas. It'll be held there, right there in Fredericksburg.
That's right. Awesome. Well, great. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, it's been a pleasure. I want to thank you guys for joining us for this conversation. And we look forward to having some more in person in the future.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Our pleasure.
We'll let you know when we're back in Texas.
All right.
Yes, we definitely need to get together and meet in person for sure.
All right.
Thanks, you guys, for joining us.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Dr. Riz and Maya with Plant-Based DFW.